Number 4. In July of 2004, near Gallup, New Mexico, I had my first and only encounter with a skinwalker. Before this, I used to say, I believe it when I see it. Well, I'm a believer now. What I saw was not full human, nor full animal. I was moving, and had just completed the cleaning, and was with my 10-year-old son. We had called it a night, and were headed to our new place. As we walked out the front door, I saw a figure move from behind my neighbor's car to a nearby tree that stood between our apartments. It didn't have red glowing eyes, snarling teeth, or a rotten smell. It did move quickly, but not quick enough to avoid the light from a nearby light post and the porch lights. It didn't look at me or come toward me. It moved as if trying to avoid being seen. I was within 15 feet of it, but I did not look back to fully inspect it. What I saw was a wolf-like animal that sort of resembled the Beast in Beauty and the Beast, just not cartoonish. It had brown fur that completely covered it. It wasn't a pelt. It was a very large wolf. It didn't have any human traits except that it walked on its hind legs. It cowered behind the trees as we got into our vehicle. When we got in, I asked my son, "Did you see that?" Thankfully, he hadn't. My brother-in-law insists that it wasn't a skinwalker because I would have seen it. To this day, I can picture what it looked like. I know they exist, and I pray I never encounter one again. Number 3. My uncle is Mexican and Native American. This happened in the Mojave Desert in Southern California. He was driving around with his girlfriend late at night, and they saw something that looked like a huge black dog on the side of the road. He slowed down, and the dog began crossing the road. Instead of walking like a normal dog would, this thing moved like a toy rocking horse. He said it stopped in the middle of the road and stared right at them, and its eyes had a red glow. My uncle is the most badass person I know, and it scared the crap out of him. Number 2. My uncle and cousin saw a large deer on the side of the road. When they got closer, it hopped over the fence like a bipedal man. One time, driving back from Gallup, my dad saw an old Navajo woman walking on the side of the road, and when he slowed to offer her a ride, she took off into the plains, quickly with inhuman speed. Once, when I was a kid, my family was at my aunt's house, which is in a rurally secluded area, when we were toyed with by a few entities. They would make animal noises, and when we looked to the direction from which the noises were coming, they would turn a flashlight on and off. The noises would come from all directions in an increasingly shorter succession. Usually when I'm there, on the reservation visiting, alone late at night, I will feel the presence of evil and dread. Panic and paranoia will wash over me, and as sudden as it comes, it will leave. Number 1. My grandmother on my mother's side has always been very superstitious, for a lack of better word. She's not religious, but she does believe in a lot of paranormal stuff. Her mother was full-blooded Navajo, and her father was Irish. Either way, she'd never been anywhere east of Montana, and she grew up in Nevada. One year, when I was in grade school, we went to visit her. Most of the visit was pretty uneventful. Typical boring old people stuff. Except she always kept her curtains drawn shut and would always peek out of the window, and when someone asked what she was doing, she would simply reply, "You know Lucy is watching me." This went on for nearly the entire visit until a few days before we were due to leave. My grandma and my then baby brother, he's 19 now, well, were in the front yard that evening, planting flowers, when all of a sudden my grandmother starts shouting, "Get your little brother away from that creature, it's not safe." Of course, being in Nevada, we all assumed that my brother had found a scorpion or rattlesnake, so we all ran outside. To see my grandmother clutching my little brother and shaking in terror against the side of the house Standing out in the yard was a large, black, Great Dane-sized dog. It was staring at my grandmother with an intensity I've never seen before. It looked up at us, gave a little huff, and bounded off. I don't remember if it moved unusually fast or not, but I do remember it had really deep yellow eyes. When my mother asked my grandmother what had happened, she kept repeating, "The Yenoda Lushi has found me." She moved a couple weeks after that.